Get started.
Okay.
So thanks to everyone for joining us today for our session on family meals. I'm Jordan Fickus with Common Threads. Common Threads is a national nonprofit that offers cooking and nutrition education for children and families in our 12 markets across the country. We're pleased to offer a series of wellness webinars for our employees, our friends, and our partners to help us to continue to embrace a healthy lifestyle as we all navigate COVID-19. You can learn more about our programs and free resources at commonthreads.org/coronavirus. If you do have questions today, please chat them out using the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. Chef Alekka and I will be able to see those, and I'll help facilitate those questions. We'd also love to hear any suggestions you have for future webinar topics, so feel free to use the Q&A for that as well. As a reminder, your mics are all muted and your cameras are all turned off. So that would be the one way to get a message over to us. But joining us today, as I said, is Chef Alekka Sweeney. She's one of our chef instructors with Common Threads, and she's joining us today from Pittsburgh to share a family recipe that's healthy, tasty, and easy to make. She'll be demonstrating baked chicken tenders with a torn salad, and it's a special recipe for us at Common Threads because it's the very first recipe that our students make in the Cooking Skills and World Cuisine class. The recipe is available in a link that I sent out just before this class through Zoom. But I'll also do a shared screen so that you can see it on the screen, and we'll send it out afterwards in the follow-up email that will go out tomorrow. So just a moment. So this is the recipe for chicken tenders and torn salad, and then the dressing. All right, so without further ado, I'll turn it over to Alekka.
Thanks, Jordan. That was really cool technology. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Alekka. I'm one of the senior chef instructors at Common Threads. And Jordan is right. This recipe I'm going to demonstrate for you today is probably one of mine because it is from the Cooking Skills and World Cuisine program from Common Threads. And this is a 9-week program where we travel the world through food and learn about different cultures. And a funny story about this is I was telling the kids that we're going to travel to China and Mexico, and they're like, well, we don't have a passport going to the airport. And I was like, no, we're just going to do it through food. And the first recipe is very, very approachable to introduce the kids to the program because I have not met a kid who does not like a chicken finger. So this one, the first country that we visit is the United States. And we do baked chicken fingers with a torn salad. This is also a great recipe because there's no knives involved. For the adults, you might have to use knives, but it's a great way to get the kids in the kitchen without using knives and utilizing stuff from your pantry that you might have. So there were a couple of challenges that I faced, and we all, like these days, have to rework and find different alternatives for recipes. The recipe calls for chicken tenders. I couldn't find chicken tenders yesterday at the grocery store. It's not a big deal. I just got chicken breasts instead. I got 2 chicken breasts, and what I did, they're super thick, so I put some plastic wrap over the chicken breasts, and then I pounded them down to get them kind of thin. And then I took a knife, and you could do this before the kids get into the kitchen. I took a knife and I cut the chicken breast into tender strips. And you want to make sure that when you're done using this, you clean and you sanitize everything. That's kind of a lesson that we start. Another reason why I like this lesson is we talk about hand washing. That's the very first thing. We tell the kids how important it is to hand wash. And when you're cutting raw chicken on something, to wash your hands. So this is something that you can do beforehand for the kids. The second part of it is setting up a breading procedure, which is so much fun for the kids. This recipe calls for whole wheat breadcrumbs and also whole wheat flour. As a pastry chef, I'm having a lot of problems finding flour in general, or the stores are limiting the amount of flour you can get. So this is where you just kind of have to make some substitutions. I was talking to Jordan yesterday, and he was saying to somebody you needed breadcrumbs, so they had croutons. So they ground up their croutons to make breadcrumbs. My mom's a baker, so she had to have some whole wheat flour left over. If you don't have whole wheat flour, you can use regular flour. If you can't find whole wheat breadcrumbs, my preference is panko, which are Japanese breadcrumbs. They're really easy to find now. or you can get just regular breadcrumbs at the store. So I've set up my breading procedure in these bowls. In the one bowl, I have my flour and salt and pepper and some basil and I think it's cayenne. Oh, chili powder. But you know, again, we'll use whatever spices you have in your pantry. Maybe you want to do kind of like a Mexican themed chicken fingers. You could do like chipotle powder, you know, whatever spices you have. In the second bowl, I have my whipped up eggs and a little bit of water. And in my third bowl, I have my panko. So it's very important to wear gloves, especially doing gloves with this because it can get messy. When I did in class, I had all the kids line up. They all had gloves and they all took one chicken finger at a time and breaded it and then went back in line and washed their hands. So this is something you can get your kids involved in. I'm just gonna move my cutting board. And then, like I said, gloves, 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 gloves. So shopping, there's a lot of things remembered. A lot of stores are limiting the amount of people that go into grocery stores. What I've done for my safe shopping and what I'm gonna do is bread these while I'm talking to you guys. I'm gonna go into the flour first, and I save one hand for dry so you don't get like a big thing of like bread and eggs all over your hand. So I do one hand for dry, and then I'm gonna do the other hand for the wet, which is the egg, and then I'm going to dip it into my panko and go back to my dry hand like this. So you keep doing it, and then what I'm doing is my oven is preheated to 375 degrees, and I'm baking this on a sheet pan that has a silicone mat. You could do parchment paper, just make sure to spray your parchment paper, because I remember I did this one year in class and I didn't spray my parchment paper and all the chicken fingers stuck. So again, for shopping, I have, see, I've already messed up. I used my dry and my wet together. Now it's all gummy. But I have the grocery store by my parents' house. I have the floor plan of that memorized. So I make a pretty extensive list. I break it down by produce, protein, dairy, and miscellaneous. So I know exactly what I need and exactly where to go. And I go in there on a mission. I am in and out of the grocery store. I know we have Trader Joe's here and they have curbside delivery. Also, I noticed yesterday Trader Joe's is limiting the amount of people that go in. Also here at the Giant Eagle, that's our local grocery store. They're limiting the amount of people that go in. They also have ways that you have to walk through the store so people don't crowd aisles. You also want to go by yourself. Don't go with a bunch of people. I go by myself and then I make a plan, like I said, of what I'm eating. And then you can order from Amazon or you could order from Target. It might take, you know, a little bit longer, but that's another thing that you can consider. So just having a plan, knowing exactly what you need. Like I said, I just limit to one grocery store. I don't go to like 3 at a time. I go to one. I know exactly the layout of that grocery store. I know exactly what I want with my list, and I'm in and out as quickly. Another thing is paying. On your phone, you can pay mobilely. You can do an Apple Pay. I linked my bank up to my phone, so I don't even, there's no exchange of money. You know, you could also do when you do like your electronic payment, I use a glove. I also do self-checkout too, so I'm avoiding as many people as possible when I go shopping. So I'm gonna take my gloves off safely. You can continue doing this. If you don't want to do chicken, I would suggest doing maybe firm tofu. That would be a good alternative for this. Another alternative would be maybe the low-fat mozzarella sticks. You could definitely do that. If you're going to do the mozzarella sticks, I would refrigerate or freeze the mozzarella sticks before you bake them, or they're just going to just explode in the oven. So that would be good. So you can bake these. When you're baking any type of meat, you want to make sure that the internal temperature is correct. So I always, we got these with Common Threads too, but you want to make sure that you have a digital thermometer to check the internal temperature of the meat. And you want to find the biggest piece or the biggest tenderloin, and you want to stick the thermometer in sideways, and you want to make sure, and some of these thermometers do have the internal temperature that you need for meat, but for the chicken, you want to make sure it's above 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I do about halfway through the baking is I open up the door and I use a spatula to kind of flip the chicken fingers over just to get both sides nice and brown. And then I find the biggest chicken tenderloin or the chicken finger and I test to make sure these are done. Leftovers, when you use these in leftovers, if you have any, because these are super good, these are going to be my lunch today. You can also chop these up and make it into a healthy chicken salad, you know, putting it on, maybe make it into a healthy chicken sandwich. But what we serve this with in Common Threads is a torn salad. And a lot of kids are like, salad, I don't like salad. One kid tried to tell me once that he was allergic to onions. So make it fun and make it interactive. And this is what the torn salad is all about. I always find when you get kids interactive in cooking, they take more of initiative to eat what they cook. And we always say, take one no thank you bite. You never know if the kids are going to like it or not. So I always say, just take one no thank you bite and you might like it. So what you want to do at the store, what I like to do is almost set up like a make your own salad bar with this torn salad with the kids and try to get, you know, find what you have the produce in your refrigerator. And I got a big, let me move this out of the way so I don't put my romaine on raw chicken. I just got a big thing of romaine. You can also get fresh spinach. You can get any lettuce that you like at the store. Make sure you wash and clean it first. And then just have the kids the same way. Assign one kid a vegetable to tear up or cut. You know, keep them active during this whole dinner prep time. I mean, there's a lot of time on people's hands right now, so whatever you can do. And talking about the culture too, just learning out, you know, finding out what kids think about what culture is and what it means to them. We were talking in Common Threads about traveling the world, and I would ask the kids, you know, where other countries, and they would be like, Florida, Georgia. So just showing the kids the map and showing them where all these countries are and how they eat, you kind of learn that people eat the same as us. It just looks different, or they eat it differently, or the way that they set their table is different. It's fun to talk about these things when you're cooking, just to keep the kids engaged. So, you know, just take the romaine, have the kids tear it up, and wearing your gloves. I would maybe just have the romaine or whatever lettuce, you know, sitting out first in a big green bowl or a big bowl. My dad made this. And then I got some tomatoes and I got some green pepper. So you can maybe introduce your kids to a little bit of knife skills. We don't do that until week 2 of Cooking Skills World Cuisine. We do that when we visit Mexico and we make whole wheat tortillas. So that's when we introduce the kids to knife skills. But I'll do a quick knife skills demonstration in a second. But the last thing that goes with this dish is a honey mustard dipping sauce. I kind of started looking at salad dressings and how much sodium and all the stuff they have in it. And I've been eating homemade salad dressing forever. I think my mom makes that same, like McCormick spice. I think she has the same salad container forever. So I'm used to homemade salad dressing. The best thing about this is it doubles as the dipping sauce for your chicken fingers. Because I remember I had a nephew, I think he would do 90% ketchup with his chicken finger. So this, you can make it up to your taste, but this has low-fat yogurt in it. It also has Dijon. I think everybody has 50 million half-open containers of mustard in the refrigerator. So you could do Dijon mustard, whole grain mustard. Another thing for sweetness is we have some syrup, and this is local syrup from Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania. I really like it. If you don't have low-fat yogurt, think about other healthy substitutions. You can do low-fat Greek yogurt if you want. So this is when I made it first. I like my stuff kind of spicy. So I put a little bit more Dijon mustard in. So you just want to mix it up so it's a dippable and almost like a salad dressing consistency. Another thing that I started adding to it is tahini. It's tahini. You could talk to your kids about what tahini is, because one of the lessons we go to Greece and we learn how to make hummus and pita breads. And I was trying to explain to my kids what tahini is. I'm like, this is all ground up sesame seeds. And when I explained to them, you know the seeds that are on the top of a hamburger, and I'm like, they grind them up, and this is what tahini is, and it blows their mind. So a little bit of tahini in here. I really like putting that in my salad dressing as well. So once the chicken fingers are done and your salad is done, you can assemble everything. If you want to get into knife skills, excuse me, with your kids, what we do at Common Threads, we always talk about knife safety. And some of the kids in Common Threads already know how to cut. It's very interesting to me how these kids already have knife skills at home. But if you want to get into that quickly, because there's a lot of produce going around in the grocery stores, and this is a good way to get the kids interactive with the salad as well. I'm sanitizing my cutting board. And sharp knives are good. So what we talk about first with family cooking is knife safety and knife skills. So we always tell the kids to do the rock and chop with the knife. The knife should never leave the cutting board. And with the hand that you're not using, you want to make a bare claw. So what I would do for the kids first, if they want to get into making this torn salad with you, is anything that's going to roll around on my cutting board, what I do for the kids is I make a safety ledge first for the kids so it doesn't roll around when they're cutting. Another thing you can do is just get whatever you're cutting for the kids ready, like a nice safe little wedge of green pepper like this. Get that ready and line it up for your kids. And we always talk about putting as much color in your salads as possible. So I'm going to just take the middle out of this for the kids and throw this away. Now, there's kind of like I try to make it flat for my kids by pushing it down as much as possible. So what we do is we create planks first. So what I'm going to do, I tell my kids, always protect your thumb. Make the number 4 first, and then put your fingers down like this so you make your bare claw. So what we're going to do is we rock and chop over these vegetables. The recipe calls for, shredded cheddar cheese. You can put cheese in there if you want, some mozzarella. It also calls for tomatoes, but like I said, whatever vegetable you have in your refrigerator, you can put it into it. Just think about making lots of color and trying to get, your kids interactive as much as possible by, kind of doing some of the steps for them already. So once you have the wedges of the green pepper, I would tell the kids you want to rock and chop over it to make your planks like this. And we always say to go slow and take your time, and it's not a rush. So we have the kids make planks first. So you can stop here. You can give your kids a pair of scissors and they can cut these into strips, or they can cut these strips into dices, but I'm going to show you on what we have the kids do. So we line up all of the planks and then rock over them as well, just doing the rock and chop and always protecting your fingers to make sure that we're safe and everything is even. So I'm going to assemble my salad. So finish with that. I'm going to tear this up a little bit more, and these parts of the romaine you do want to get rid of. You don't want to eat those. But the torn salad is one of my favorites with the kids because, like I said, it's the first class that we do in the 9-week program. It's kind of introducing the kids to what they're going to be doing for 9 weeks and talk about healthy eating. And I always say, we're not going to make hamburgers, we're not making hot dogs. And like the reaction of their faces are like, what? But, you know, halfway through the program, the kids are, you know, they just realize they're looking at food a different way. And all of the menus are approachable for the kids, like this one, like I said, chicken fingers. Everybody likes a chicken finger. It's just a different way to make them. Instead of frying them, we are baking them. And like I said, you can do any type of spice that you want with the breading procedure. Make it fun, make it interactive. And obviously, when you are done with all of this stuff for the breading procedure, you're going to throw it away because there was raw chicken in that. So don't use it again. Don't save it for anything else. Just get rid of it. So I have my torn salad, and I'm going to add my green peppers and tomatoes. Again, if you can't find these tomatoes, you can get a plum tomato. If you don't like tomatoes, do red peppers, do carrots. It's fun to get kids into, like, if you don't want to do the knife, introduce your kid into peeling a carrot, just some kind of kitchen 101. So in class, we just let the kids dump these after they're washed, dump them in the salad with a little bit of cheese. But if you want to, again, this is roly-poly, I would just cut these in half, maybe some cut, some whole in your salad, just to make it look really pretty and visual. Or like I said, you could put all the vegetables in bowls around the torn lettuce and have your kids assemble their own salad and say, you know, we want to see, besides green, I want to see 2 other colors in your salad. And that's what I do, because you don't have a kid who just has a big plate of lettuce. Say the green and 2 other colors in your salad. So the kids can go around and make up their own pretty plate of salad. That looks good. I like that. Kind of holiday-ish. And then going to add some of our honey mustard. And again, if it's too sweet, you want to add some of the Dijon. And if it's too tart, add some more honey. You can play around with this dressing, you know, to make it, you know, for, you know, how you like things. Again, I like things really, really tart. Another thing you could do is add some lemon juice to this. That would be good. Like I said, you can add the tahini to this. That's also really good. But just a little bit goes a long way with this. Salad dressing, yummy, yummy, yummy. And then the rest of this is going to be, put it on the side, and it's going to go the dipping sauce that goes with the baked chicken fingers. And this is a good lunch. I'm going to eat it for lunch, or a quick dinner. You can actually bread these chicken fingers in the morning and put them on a sheet pan and cover them up really well. And you could put them in the refrigerator, and then you can bake them when, I was going to say when you get home from work, when you're done with work for the day. It's just something you can make in the morning. It could be a good afternoon activity with the kids to get ready for dinner. And maybe a little bit of salt and pepper in the salad as well. But what we have going on, because if you just do the baked chicken fingers, it's still good, but it's kind of like a plate of brown. And you always want to make sure that your plate has a lot of, like I said, a lot of color. So we have our pretty salad and our baked chicken fingers. How much more time do I have left, Jordan?
You're at about 5 minutes.
Okay. Should we take questions? Should I keep talking?
So a question that did come in, not through the chat, was since it is difficult right now for people to get out and shop, sometimes the fresh produce is a little bit tough, especially if you're like me and you haven't had a grocery delivery in a little while. I have one coming today. So what do you recommend for people who are trying to get more produce into their diet if they can't always do fresh because of availability or just not shopping as much?
Yeah, there's some really good frozen produce out there. Yesterday, I could not, what was it? So here at the store, all I could find was romaine. So you could get frozen spinach. You could do something with that. You can get frozen peas. No, it's not the best for you, but I would definitely gravitate towards the frozen vegetables. There's also CSAs. I don't know if those are going on still. Those places that you can order and getting produce in. I happen to know people here in Pennsylvania because we're kind of around a lot of farms. So I know a lot of people that have farms. So, I mean, they're just giving me, and all people were like sharing it, which is not the best right now. But I'm fortunate that I'm a place that we have a lot of produce, but if you don't, I would kind of look at the frozen stuff and, kind of, use that instead.
Okay, thank you.
Are you ready to eat with me, Jordan?
Yeah, it's looking good. Show us what we've got.
Okay, so I have the torn salad, which is romaine, the chopped green peppers, and the cherry tomatoes. Yummy. And I put a little bit of the honey mustard yogurt. It's a dipping sauce, but it also goes with the salad. And then my lunch, the baked chicken fingers. And like I said, if there's some left over, I chop it up and I put like low-fat mayonnaise and vegetables and make a sandwich out of it. Or you can eat it for lunch the next day. So this is something that you can make a lot of and then save it for the next day. And getting your kids in the kitchen is always great, and having them help, and you have them stay and have them stay and help clean up. Any other questions, Jordan?
Alekka, could you talk a little bit about our Cooking Skills in World Cuisine program? What do students experience through that?
Oh, I could talk for hours about it. So it's a 9-week program. It is after school, and what we do, like I said, we learn about different cultures going on in the United States. So we do movement, we do like a little exercise, because you're getting the kids right at the end of class. I mean, their school day, and they're all, just excited to get into the kitchen. So what I usually do when they come in, I talk about what we're going to be making that day, and we go over the culture of what we're learning that day. And I have my kids do some yoga just to kind of center them to go, to go into the kitchen. The first week is learning about hand washing and learning what culture means, and kind of an introduction to the kitchen and what it looks like, and assigning kids into their own cooking groups that they're going to be cooking with for 9 weeks. And we have amazing, amazing, amazing volunteers that help us with this program. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have these volunteers. So it's interesting what the kids think about culture, and just saying, everybody celebrates, different holidays. It's not right, it's wrong. It's just how that culture celebrates. It's how that culture eats. The second week is always the favorite because it's Mexico, and they're like, oh, we're going to make enchiladas and tacos. I'm like, no, it's whole wheat tortillas. So it's foods that the kids are familiar with in the first couple of weeks. And then we get into, we go to Italy, which, I like that country because I was born there. So again, we go into salads, and then we make a meat and tomato sauce. So it's really packed with a lot of meat and vegetable sauce to go with the salad. And then we do get into some healthy desserts because they're excited when they hear about, oh, dessert. So we talk about making a strawberry and ricotta and honey dessert. So I like it for the kids, just seeing them, the first week, not really sure what's going on, but excited about cooking. Some of these kids have never had I've had kids who've never had feta cheese before in their life, or never had an olive before in their life. And they're not sure what it tastes like. But then when you cook with it and you show them this is what this culture eats and this is normal for them, they really get interested in learning about what other people eat, and then they will eat it. Like I'm saying, always tell them to do a one no thank you bite. So each class is about 2 hours long. I talk about culture again when we're sitting, because we all sit down and eat together as a group, because Common Threads is about working together, cooking together, and eating together and sharing everything together, which I really like. So we cook We all clean up together. Everybody has assigned jobs. So each week it rotates with, doing dishes, helping me out, setting the table, cleaning up. We all work together in a group and sitting down and eating together. That's what, again, when I talk about the culture portion, because I talk about it at the beginning, but the kids are so excited and hyped up to get into the kitchen that I talk about the culture part briefly at the beginning of class. And at the end of class, when we're sitting down as a group and everybody's focused and eating, then I talk about the food and how it relates to the culture of what country we're in. And after 9 weeks, the kids want to continue on. So I know there's the advanced cooking program that Common Threads has, which is the same idea. It's just different countries and more advanced recipes. But each week we add on a different cooking skill. So the second week is knives. The third week could be how to grate cheese properly. We always, build up on the knife skills too. As a pastry chef, I talk about measuring, the difference between liquid measuring and dry measuring cups, because I think, the basics is what you have to learn if you want to cook. So just building up on kitchen basics during those whole 9 weeks and learning to work as a group and sharing and helping out people that, maybe you don't talk to in school. But then I've seen a lot of kids are like, I don't want to be with her. They're all friends by the end of the 9 weeks. And it's the mission of Common Threads, like sharing together, working with a group. We're all in this together. Let's make this meal together and sit down and eat it together. So I've been teaching this program for like 15 years, and it is by far my favorite because I've seen so many kids just really get into cooking and eating. I mean, they just clear their plates and they want seconds and thirds of the stuff that they're like the first week, they're like, I'm not going to eat lettuce. And by week 5, they're like eating 3 or 4 portions of salad. It's just like the program a lot and how it just makes healthy eating approachable for kids. Like I said, I could go on for 3 hours about it. It's my favorite program.
I could too. It really is great, and I always say that the Common Threads program is really accomplished not just teaching kids how to cook, but like you said, so many other things come with it as well. If anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. We'll stay on for a little bit longer. I'm gonna share screen so that I can show the recipe again for the 3 different dishes that were made today. So the chicken tenders.
Yes, I did a lot of substitutions, which I talked about.
Yeah, and then the torn salad.
Mm-hmm. And then I think the dressing was on the other one.
Yeah.
But the last day, what I do for Common Threads, it's kind of called Chef's Choice. So what I do is the groups that I put the kids in, I assign them a dish. I'll say your entree, your appetizer, and your dessert or salad. And the kids have to make up a recipe, a healthy recipe. So about 2 weeks before the end of the program, I'll make the assignments and I'll go over the recipes with them just to have them like think on their own to see what they've learned in the 8 weeks that and some of the stuff I actually have started making myself. I'm like, these kids have really fantastic ideas after, cooking healthy with us for a couple of weeks. I like to see what they come up with instead of giving them a recipe. But I go over it. I'm like, no, we're not making pizza. No, we're not making tacos. We can make a healthy pizza. So they come up with some really fantastic ideas too.
Well, this was wonderful. Thank you so much, Chef Alekka. For those of you who are joining us, this will be available on our Facebook account and also on YouTube, so you can go back and watch it, and please feel free to share it with your friends. We also have additional programming coming up. Log on to our website, www.commonthreads.org/coronavirus. Make sure you're on our mailing list and following us on social media, because you'll continue to see these opportunities come up. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Another special thank you to Chef Alekka in Pittsburgh. This was really awesome. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Stay safe and stay healthy.